Aloha, my name is Lisa Ng, and on behalf of the Hawaii Statewide Family Engagement Center, thank you for joining us today. In the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA federal education law passed in 2015, Congress included a major focus on family and community engagement. Included in that was the funding to create statewide family engagement centers, an evolution of the Parent Information Resource Centers initiative. The UH Center on Disability Studies is one of 12 grantees who was awarded a statewide Family Engagement Center grant. The UH Center on Disability Studies is a department within the University of Hawaii at Manoa's College of Education. HVEC, as we're called, is using the following strategies to get more families, schools, and administrators to connect with their community and promote family engagement as a learning strategy to improve student academic success and school improvement. We promote evidence-based approaches to engage families to support the success of their children at school. We carry out parent education, family engagement and education training, and provide comprehensive training and technical assistance to state educational agencies, local educational agencies, schools, and organizations that support family-school partnerships. Our center has adopted the National Association for Family, School, and Community Engagement definition of family engagement. We believe family engagement is a shared responsibility in which schools and other community agencies and organizations are committed to reaching out to engage families in meaningful ways and in which families are committed to actively supporting their children's learning and development. Family engagement is continuous across a child's life and entails enduring commitment, but changing parent roles as children mature into young adulthood. Effective family engagement cuts across and reinforces learning in multiple settings where children learn: at home, in pre-kindergarten programs, in school, in after-school programs, in faith-based institutions, and in the community. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please visit our website for information about family resources, parent education and training, special education support, and evidence-based supporting literature. We also have a parent majority advisory committee that helps guide the center's work. Connect with us to learn more. Send us an email at hfec@hawaii.edu. Mahalo!
Welcome to Digitability. We are excited to share 3 ways that families can support your learner to be work ready. We're looking forward to covering 3 of the best evidence-based strategies for supporting special education students to help provide you with an understanding of how these practices are used every day by educators. We'll begin this presentation with a quick introduction to the Digitability framework. The problem Digitability is solving is the drastic unemployment rate for people with disabilities. You may be familiar with the term, the cliff. This term denotes what happens when students exit the school system and stop receiving services. However, Digitability is catching students before they fall off the cliff and creating a bridge to employment opportunities. What's exciting is that we are beginning to see an increase in the recruitment, employment, and support of people with disabilities for the workplace. Now the challenge becomes creating a pipeline of skilled candidates for these employers. That's where Digitability comes in. We've been able to flip the unemployment statistic and increase employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Let's take a quick look at how parts of Digitability are used in the classroom. This high school teacher has a wide range of educational needs in her classroom and uses Digitability's resources to meet her students at their current levels while building capacity incrementally.
Digitability has had a significant impact on my students and been a very valuable tool that I've been able to use within my classroom. I've really loved using Digitability in my classroom because I have students on so many different cognitive levels, ability levels. I have students who are nonverbal, and then I have students who are on a 12th grade reading level. So this has offered me the opportunity to do this program with all of them, whether it's, they're able to verbally express or use PEX cards, write in their answers or trace their answers. All of my students have been able to participate actively. Okay, so if you're double clicking, what are you doing? You're opening your browser. So you're double clicking on the browser icon to open the browser. Fantastic. Awesome. Which one of those do you think is the proper URL? Go ahead, show me which one. Good. You got it.
Oh, heck yeah.
So you might go to www.youtube.com. That's called the, can you say it? URL. Okay. I have one student in particular who I had to repeat things constantly. But through this program, the slower pace and the repetition of even the videos, how it goes over it and then says, and you're able to connect the prior knowledge through each badge. He is one of my ones who, when I do reviews, he is raising his hand every single time, using the vocabulary that we use. Disabilities also offering me a way to connect to all the academic goals. It incorporates reading, writing, math. This program has it all there for me. It's a lot less planning time, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going above and beyond to meet their needs because it is all right there. I'm able to focus more on the lesson rather than all the planning time, and I can even take the tools that I'm given and expand on those. This is not only giving them use of technology, but it's helping them to learn the proper use, the safety of using the computer. I have one student who, as we did the interview process, he was not comfortable at all at the thought of getting a job and getting out of his comfort zone. This might help him to learn, I can have a job using computers, using technology, and that I can stay in my safe place, but there's other opportunities for different jobs out there.
Schools use Digitability to provide a comprehensive approach to special education learning. While digital literacy serves as the foundation, we use technology as a hook to develop social and communication skills, which are often a barrier to employment. Functional skills like financial literacy help students learn about spending and saving. And of course, Digitability develops employment skills by introducing real-world employment projects we call work simulations. Work simulations are projects that introduce students to a wide range of employment pathways. These employment experiences are personalized to meet students where their current needs and interests are. The process begins by choosing a work simulation project. For example, the class may start a coffee business, learn how to market YouTube videos, perform data entry, and more. These projects can be chosen from Digitability's library of work simulations that have been created in collaboration with our employment partners. They can also be customized based on existing community partners at a school, or a new employment partner introduced by family and friends. After choosing their work simulation project, students are then hired for jobs and begin practicing workplace behavior, managing their tasks, using tech skills for independence, self-advocating, self-regulating, and more. This all results in the development of individualized work-ready portfolios for every student. Each student portfolio includes an online profile that will help students explore employment interest and connect with potential employers. It also allows them to showcase their Digitability work experience. Through Digitability, every student graduates with project samples and develops and practices their talking points about these projects in preparation for the interview process. Now that you have an overview of the Digitability program, let's look at the practices implemented to build the capacity necessary to achieve these results. We'll begin with positive reinforcement, as it will lay the foundation for setting boundaries to teach self-regulation, and later will also be used in teaching workplace communication skills. Positive reinforcement is used to increase a desired behavior with rewards. Rewards can be a verbal phrase alone, or you can also reward learners with a token that can be later exchanged for a meaningful object or privilege. Digitability implements positive reinforcement through our social economy program. In the social economy, students earn virtual Digitability dollars when they exhibit behaviors that will make them successful in the workplace and increase their independence. Educators use the Digitability Dollar Earnings Tracker to manage students' earnings in the classroom, while each student also manages their own earnings. Students then pay bills and purchase rewards. Some classrooms create an economy where they charge per minute to access YouTube. This helps students think about their personal budgets and supports screen time self-regulation. Digitability includes resources to create an at-home social economy system that can support your learners' goals. When used consistently throughout the day, positive reinforcement can increase your learners' ability to increase time on task attendance, increase expressive and receptive language usage, develop new social skills, and much more. In the classroom, educators use Digitability lesson plans to provide scripted positive reinforcement. These phrases are important as they help the teacher stay consistent, helping the student internalize the behavior they are being rewarded for each time. To help families stay consistent, there is a simple formula that can be followed when delivering positive reinforcement. The first step is easy. Use your learner's name. Then, define the behavior they have exhibited that you want to reinforce. Finally, deliver the reward, which is also considered a consequence. Here is a classroom example of the positive reinforcement used in Digitability's social economy. The name is used, and the teacher repeats the student's answer. Then, the behavior is identified as participating. Finally, the consequence is delivered, which in Digitability classrooms is the virtual dollar. Let's check out what this looks like in the classroom.
Makes you successful, right? Why do you think? Raise your hand for participation dollar. Joel?
It makes you gain more confidence.
It makes you gain more confidence. I like that answer, Joel. Nice job participating and earning a dollar. Destiny?
It's like when you type up top the white rectangle thingy.
Okay, a long white rectangle thingy.
That's the field.
Okay, that's the field. Great job participating and earning a dollar. I like how you're using some of the language in the video.
Now that you understand how positive reinforcement can be used in the classroom, let's look at ways to implement this at home. You may ask your learner to complete a variety of at-home tasks that can address self-maintenance, encourage language development, or increase socialization skills. You can use the Digitability dollar system or replace the dollar with another type of token, such as a check mark or stickers on a chart. For example, when your learner follows directions at home, you can say something like, "Marcus, I like how you made your bed today. Nice job following directions." Let's add a following directions token to your chart. Here's another example of a language formula, this time using sharing as the behavior. Eventually, you may also use verbal praise alone as the reinforcer. Consistency is key. You want to remember to use positive reinforcement as frequently as possible, especially when your learner completes tasks independently. You also want to be consistent in the behaviors you choose to describe so they can be repeated. We shared 2 examples using following directions and sharing. Another useful behavior is staying on task to help increase a learner's ability to focus on a task to completion. You may also use positive reinforcement for specific goals such as increasing eye contact or personal advocacy. Positive reinforcement can also be implemented when teaching self-regulation. Through Digitability, students learn self-regulation by meeting the defined boundaries set for them. In the Digitability classroom, teachers set boundaries by setting limits on the number of lessons or badges that can be unlocked during independent practice on the computer. As Digitability is gamified, students may want to continue watching lessons not yet facilitated by the teacher to unlock and earn more badges. If a student self-regulates their impulse to continue, they will earn a Digitability dollar for each badge assigned and completed. However, if they do not stop at the appropriate lesson, they can be charged a fee of $1 per badge. Self-regulation needs can be unique for each student. Digitability addresses common behaviors where students will need to develop self-regulation skills in order to obtain and sustain focus and success in the workplace. Your learner may have preferred activities at home, such as spending time on their device, watching videos, or playing games. Or they may perseverate on certain topics like trains or animals. They may also have self-stimulatory behaviors or trouble with transitioning to a non-preferred task. These behaviors can be perceived as problematic in the workplace and can interfere with an individual successfully completing the employment task. Let's look at a few strategies to help prepare learners for the social and communication expectations of the workplace. Setting limits for screen time is important for the social-emotional learning process. This can be difficult for learners at first. Start with small, incremental change, reducing the amount of time gradually. Both online and offline versions of the Digitability Setting Screen Time Boundaries template can help educators and families collaborate by establishing healthy screen time boundaries and reinforcing students when they successfully self-regulate. When a learner focuses on a preferred topic, they may make off-topic comments. This could be perceived as problematic, as it may indicate that the learner is not focused on the expected task or topic. Using the same positive reinforcement language formulas, identify this behavior and redirect the learner to the current topic or describe the replacement behavior. Defining replacement behaviors can also help learners self-advocate when they have self-stimulatory behaviors. For example, in the workplace, individuals may need to leave their work area, taking a break to self-stimulate, and then return to their work task. Students can learn self-advocacy for this need and include it in their Digitability Workplace Self-Advocacy Plan, developed in Level 4. In the workplace, learners may be asked to transition to a new task by their supervisor. This can provoke anxiety. While this transition request may feel uncomfortable, the ability to follow directions in the workplace is essential for being successful and sustaining employment. To teach this behavior early on, introduce phrases that reinforce being flexible. Remember, provide the feedback immediately to your learner when they demonstrate self-regulation. Positive reinforcement and self-regulation are both a part of teaching workplace behavior. By now, you are familiar with how Digitability uses virtual dollars as token reinforcers. We call this system the Digitability Social Economy. There are 4 levels to the social economy, which are all designed to develop both workplace behavior and financial literacy. Digitability's classroom social economy provides students with opportunities for practicing problem solving, time management, decision-making, self-advocacy, and more. Through the Digitability social economy, students learn to define behaviors, identify their personal experiences with them, role-play these behaviors, and complete a self-inventory to understand which behaviors they need to work on. Then, In Digitabilities work simulation projects, where students get hired for jobs and build their work-ready portfolio, they are able to practice strengthening these skills. While Digitability includes a variety of training activities to develop workplace communication, we'll focus on an exercise to practice giving and receiving feedback. This activity begins with a student giving a short presentation where they describe the process for completing an assignment. Students work toward presenting continuously while thinking about their process, speech, and body language, such as making eye contact with their peers. Once the speaker has completed their presentation, their peers are each expected to give structured feedback. First, they explain one thing they enjoyed about the presentation and then ask the presenter a question. This means that students will need to practice attending to the presenter, listening carefully in order to provide their feedback. This process, over time, can strengthen critical thinking, as well as language development as students plan their feedback. The last step of this communication activity involves the presenter strengthening their auditory processing and comprehension skills by interpreting their peer-given feedback and answering questions. The goal is to shift the communication dynamic of the classroom, where socialization is student-driven instead of being teacher-led. It is important to note that this activity has a variety of adapted materials to help develop communication for a wide range of needs, including those with limited communication skills. Let's look at a classroom example being facilitated in a virtual environment.
We're ready.
You good? Yeah, Beck's ready. All right,
Ready.
so we have our CFOs here ready to record any money that you're going to earn this lesson, okay? 4, a participation dollar. Who can tell me, what does personal information mean? Chris M., first tell us your sentence. What do you have there? Read that for us.
Oh, dear. I can use my Safari browser to search up what I'm looking for.
Okay, Kevin, can you give him some feedback? I'll put the feedback sheet up here for you.
I like that how he spoke with his sentence.
Okay, and Chris M., what was his feedback for you?
He liked the way I spoke my sentence.
Right, and you tell him thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Did Yanni earn?
How many do you have for Yanni? I have 3.
Okay.
I have 3. I gave everyone for the thumbs
That
up.
sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. How about for Justin? How many dollars did Justin earn?
5.
I got 5 4, so I didn't get some. All right.
Okay. And how many did Kevin earn?
Kevin also got 5.
Good job.
And Beck got 2.
Yeah, good job, Beck with 2. All right. All
Good
right.
job, guys.
Time on our next live lesson for Digitability, okay?
Yeah, this was good. This was fun.
You can facilitate this same activity at home in your living room or kitchen using Digitability at Home resources and completed student assignments. This is a great way to be actively involved in your learner's skill development and to stay connected to what your learner is doing at school. If your school is already licensed to use Digitability, families will have access to a library of additional resources to support your learner at home. Be sure to request your learner's login information, the Quick Start Guide for families, student progress reports throughout the year, and data collection tools that can be used at home. If your school is not yet participating in the Digitability program, you can share our program materials with your school. These materials are available on our website at digitability.com. To access and receive updates on all free parent resources, sign up for our newsletter by visiting our website at digitability.com and clicking on Newsletter from the menu bar. Thank you for joining Digitability. We love feedback and use it to help create stronger programming for our communities. Please complete the 3-question survey posted in the chat room. We look forward to answering your questions.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Michelle. I am with the Digitability group. In just a few minutes, we're going to have 2 more members join us from the Hawaii State Family Engagement Center, and we'll be here to answer any questions that you have. To begin, there were a couple questions that were posted in the chat that I'd like to take some time to address. And I'm just going to scroll back through here. So SPIN, the Special Parent Information Network from Hawaii, thank you for helping us address some audio issues and also for your questions. You asked if the program was only used in schools, and the answer to that is Digitability is used in a number of different types of organizations. So a classroom model is definitely one. The important aspect of the way it's facilitated is that there is a social component, because we do have a model where we're addressing those social communication barriers that students often face when seeking their independence. And there's a few more questions I look forward to answering. I'm going to add in our 2 additional co-hosts for this webinar. And so we have Angela Matian, project lead of Hawaii State Family Engagement Center, and Andrea Alexander, the family, school, and community liaison of Hawaii's State Family Engagement Center, and statewide Family Engagement Center. So welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you.
And so I'm going to go through some of the additional questions, but because we have representatives from the Statewide Family Engagement Center, if there are specific questions for either Angela or Andrea, please feel free to post them in the chat as well. There was another question about Digitability having parent or at-home modules. And as you saw in the webinar, we showed both a teacher implementing the program virtually. A lot of our teachers across the country have, been charged with the responsibility of figuring out how to transition from an in-classroom environment to a virtual environment. And Kapolei is one of our high schools in Hawaii that is also being supported during that process. So like the video you saw, teachers are having a flipped model where some students will watch a video independently and then come together for the social communication, behavioral development, where they're earning this virtual currency. And in the webinar, we talked about having resources where parents can support that process. So we'll be sharing those resources with everybody that registered via email next week. So you'll be able to look a little bit deeper into how those materials work and also how they support communication between the educator and the family. So going back to the goal of Hawaii's Statewide Family Engagement Center, the intention is to help families be engaged with their child throughout their learning trajectory. So that was a great question, thank you. I'll do one more and then I'll open it up to both Angela and Andrea if they'd like to add anything. I know that Lindsay Del Carlino is a BCBA and she talked about the principles of ABA being reinforced or positive reinforcement being used in the classroom. Our entire program, from our online system to the lesson plans, to some of the modules, are all grounded in evidence-based practices like those you would see in ABA, which stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. So behaviorists often use these principles in order to help build capacity for students and increase their progress towards their specific goals. So that's a very big component to our program. And while Lindsay in our chat is a board certified behavior analyst, often teachers don't receive a ton of training in these practices, and they're super effective. So what we've done in Digitability is we've embedded those practices directly into our lesson plans. So for teachers, they have a pre-written, scripted lesson plan that uses those language formulas we talked about. So they're providing reinforcement just by following the execution of the lesson plan. And then they also get a coach. So if they're having trouble because one of their students might have a more significant communication need, their coach can come in and strategize and support how one evidence-based practice might be modified for that specific need. So there's another question, and from Camille Dang. It says, is Hawaii Department of Education / schools promoting financial literacy among youth with disabilities as an integral part of IDEA transition planning? So I don't know if either of you would like to address that question. I could talk more about the financial literacy in our program thereafter, but if you want to address that question specifically.
Yeah, I think that for every school it's different, and for our program, HVAC in general, we're piloting this program, and so what we like about this program, it has a different components as the financial literacy. We don't know exactly what's going on in the DOE, and it looks different for each school site, right? And school program and disability special education program. So we don't know that. We do know that the schools that we are working with do have financial literacy. We know that in Kapa'a High School, they have a great financial literacy program that's used school-wide. They actually do simulation of a bank and have students working there. As far as with the students that are part of the special education program, I'm sure they're integrated, but we don't have specific details. So for my suggestion is that if you have a child in the special education program, that you do connect with your school to find out what's available around financial literacy. But I will let my colleague Andrea or Michelle go ahead and comment on that as well.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. My understanding is that it, again, as Angela previously indicated, it is something that may vary from school to school in terms of what is actually embedded in the curriculum. It also would depend on if a component of that is in the graduation requirements, one of the graduation required classes. But generally, when you're speaking of children that are in special education, they are often being guided by the individual education plan, and usually the families may have to specifically request a component of financial literacy being embedded in the course of their instruction. So it may vary very widely, but that's one of the reasons why we're so excited to introduce Digitability to the community and to be supporting this pilot program, because it does have such a strong component to prepare all of the children for work-ready experience.
Thank you both. And I'll just add, in our presentation, we talked about our social economy. And the idea is that students are earning a virtual currency for displaying behavior that would make them successful in the workplace. And with this currency, we help teachers set up their own economy, their classroom economy. So they decide what bills will the students pay. And then those bills may be Wi-Fi, to use the internet. When I was a teacher, I charged rent for their desk. And then there's some privileges that they can also purchase. And again, this can all be customized based on classroom, sort of availability of resources, or an individual's preferred activity. So for example, all of my students wanted to spend money going on the computer and specifically YouTube. So I charged per minute for YouTube, and this links to that self-regulation concept of, let's think about it financially. How much money can I spend on YouTube knowing I have bills to pay? And maybe my teacher, Miss McEwen, has scheduled a big movie event or a game day that's a little bit more expensive and I need to save some money incrementally. So we try to, everything we teach, including financial literacy, we try to kind of streamline it into all of the domains. So the skill sets aren't looked at being taught in isolation or in like an ad hoc on the fly fashion. We want them to be an incremental literacy development. So that's a little bit about our financial literacy model. And then so there's a couple other questions I'll read. The question from SPIN, the Special Parent Information Network of Hawaii, is the program in only one school in Hawaii at this time? Is this a pilot? Is there a cost to the program? What does the training to teachers and parents, who does the training? To teachers and parents. So I'll let either of you answer the question, and then I can speak a little bit about the training portion, since Digitability does address all the training needs.
There definitely is, a cost to this, and that's why we're piloting it, and we see the value in this program because of the different components and being able to involve, the student, the family, the teacher, and then community. For us right now, we are definitely going to share what we've learned through this pilot with the DOE, with the Hawaii Department of Education, and then really what our recommendation is to look further into Digitability. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions, and then really advocate for a program like this, like Digitability, and speak with your administrators, or if you're working directly within the DOE, share what you've learned today with the complex area wide. But it ultimately would be a decision or a partnership that would have to develop. But we are more than happy to share what we've learned. But we are going to share what we've learned with the stakeholders that we're working with in DOE.
Yes, and if I could actually just add something very specific also for the parents who are actively engaged with the IEP meetings with their child. If you find this program of interest, probably the best way forward in expressing that interest would be to bring this to the attention of the transition coordinator of your child's high school, as well as to the attention of your child's school counselor and the administrator that is actually appointed to your child's IEP team. That would be a great way to bring this interest to essential persons who are already serving in the role of making decisions and supporting a way forward for the children in terms of transition. And then that collective voice will obviously make its way to the leadership. And this is what we would like to be able to recommend if you are interested in that. But yes, as Angela pointed out, we're very excited to have this pilot, and we will acquire everything that we've learned and continue to share it with our families and the community, as well as our partners and stakeholders to develop a way forward based on the interest here of the parents.
Thank you. Great. That's really good information. I'll just piggyback and talk a little bit about the training to the community. So yes, Digitability does address all of the training needs, and we're a little bit unique from other education programs in that, as a team of former educators who've received a lot of professional development and training, it can be overwhelming to have a ton of information kind of put on you, and then expected to internalize all that and stay organized and focused on using a new program. So we roll out our training incrementally. For teachers to get started, they do about an hour of independent online training, and then they have a follow-up call with their coach. And so the coach will go over essential resources, and basically the process is, what do you need to know to get started tomorrow with the program? And then they'll work with them to set up their schedule, their social economies, what bills they want to include. But that process then continues to happen throughout the entire school year. So just like we're building capacity for students because the program's going to introduce concepts, at an early stage, and then we're going to build on those, we do the same thing for teachers so that they can learn to master those evidence-based practices. And yes, at the same time, that's why we're so excited to work with the Hawaii Family Statewide Engagement Center. At the same time, we know just how effective having a holistic community and having active family engagement is to promoting, the progress and the outcomes for all the students we work with. So some of these materials that we'll share will be kind of an introduction to that. But we're hoping to do additional education sessions, much like this webinar. Based on your feedback, we do have a survey. I think my team's going to post that survey into the link, so feel free to let us know if this information was useful. I think it's just 3 questions, so it's pretty quick. We're really big on keeping everyone on the same page and building a complete ecosystem. And that ecosystem is schools, government, family, community organizations, and then employers. So, the more we come together, the stronger our system is. There's a few more questions that have come in. One of them is, have we been able to contact someone from the Hawaii Department of Education at the state level? They have a person specifically for transition at the state office. I can just make the quick comment that we were approached, I think, at the state level about introducing the program to Hawaii, but I'll let both of you talk about your local relationships.
So we work closely with the student support services and other departments within DOE, the community engagement branch, and we really just rolling this out with Kapolei High School, working with them and understanding the program itself, and we're hoping that we're able to extend the program as well. But we do have to have those conversations, like Andrea had mentioned, with the DOE. And Andrea probably can talk a little bit more about this, but there is conversations, and also I think something that has been put forth to the legislation and on the transition piece for our students in special education programs. And so this is definitely not something that will not be, remember, we're definitely intentionally having this pilot program with Digital Ability and with Kapolei High School to definitely find more ways to be able to expand this. But again, we do need the support of the community, the families, and stakeholders to talk about their experience, to express the interest in programs such as this, so that we can support our students. And like Disability had mentioned, so that they are not going over that cliff, that there we do have a solid bridge for the students in the transition from school to workforce or furthering their education.
Yes, absolutely. It is really a pleasure to be able to pilot this program, and part of the reason for the pilot is to be able to actually gather data, information, and lessons learned, because in having those type of conversations, it's essential that we have something to produce, to actually share in terms of the outcomes. The best way to sometimes get those conversations moving is to be able to demonstrate success. And so that's part of our enthusiasm with the investment at Kapolei. Along the way, we are having some conversations and sharing this information with our partners. And that was also the excitement of rolling it out today in the form of a webinar to introduce it to a wider group of our partners, community members and stakeholders and families, so that we can increase the awareness of this great program, Digitability, and what they bring to the table. In terms of legislation, there is a bill that has been put forward, and it was sponsored by the Jobs Now Partnership Project. Um, and it is focused on transition statewide to be able to produce more equity, because we know the transition plan for children and students with disabilities it may vary depending on the level of engagement of their teams or other members of their family. And so um, the fact of the matter is that we are very excited about this, and we look forward to being able to use these results to be able to back and promote more information regarding the necessity of that legislation.
Great, thank you. Okay, there is a question about from Chin Lee. He says, love the lesson, positive reinforcement, social economy, etc. After a student completes a module, say financial literacy, will it reflect on Department of Education certificate or have a way to show that, that potential? And so I'm not quite sure how that would be structured, specifically, how it would be reflected in their certificate.
And I don't know. I know that there's conversations within the DOE, around students, and the different diploma track to certification track. And so I think something like this would be able to encourage, right, those conversations to continue onward. But at this moment, I have no knowledge, or I'm not sure, if there's actually any type of certificate that will be, awarded at this time. But it doesn't mean that there's not a possibility in the near future.
Yes, and I actually would like to say that for a program that is as rich in instruction and for what it actually promotes, I certainly believe that there is a very strong space for the parents, the families, and other stakeholders on the children's either IEP team, whether the child is on a diploma track or a certificate track, to be able to receive acknowledgement and some type of endorsement regarding this diploma, the same way other children have the option to have endorsements, whether it is the fact that they are certified in dual languages, or some of the children who are earning certificates through some of their academies. So there are many children who earn different types of endorsements and certificates. And if our students who are in the programs for students with disabilities, and they successfully complete this and demonstrate the skills that are necessary and are able to graduate from this program with work-ready skills, I certainly believe there's a place to advocate for them to also receive that type of certification and documentation.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just add, and Chinley, I'm sorry, I saw that maybe there was an autocorrect situation, so it was a way to show it to the employer. So I'll just tack on that, part of our program is to develop what we call a work-ready portfolio. And the idea is that this is a whole package for the individual to showcase to a potential employer. So it's a resume, it's an online profile. It has projects that the student worked on. And what we do in order to create really credible portfolios is we partner with different businesses and employers. And so we have some of our own networks, some local, some national, and we create these work simulations so that students are, one, exposed to those employment pathways, but also have a little bit of a baseline understanding about what the expectations are, for that specific job. So no matter what kind of skill set we're developing, it all is getting wrapped up into this portfolio at the end. So I just wanted to add that on there. There was a question from SPIN, the Special Parent Information Network, about the cost for a parent to use this module at home. So Digitability doesn't currently sell licenses on a one-off basis for one student. And the reason for that is, we're developing those social communication behavioral skills, right? We're teaching collaboration, giving and receiving feedback, problem solving, flexible thinking, and all of those things happen in a peer-to-peer exchange. And so while parents can have access to the resources and to materials to support their learner, they wouldn't be able to directly purchase this. But if their school is using it, then we have libraries of resources for their support and engagement. So they could very much review a lesson. We even created adapted materials for families during COVID. So they weren't going by, a teacher scripted lesson plan, but they had an adapted version for parents that, instead of 5 pages was consolidated to 1 to make it more manageable, if that makes sense. So I wanted to address that question. And then I think as far as our chat, let me see if you start. So Debbie has some suggestions starting at the top, and hopefully we'll reach the neighbor islands where special education teachers can really use this type of curriculum, and that families really need the resources for their kids. So yeah, we're with you on that. I don't know if you would either, like to add some additional comments to that.
Well, we are definitely love to share this with the neighbor island. We are connected right now with the Kauai schools right now in the complex area superintendent there, and we're eventually going to be, building cohort schools for family engagement across all of the neighbor islands. Michelle, we really just connected. Was it just this year? This year we just connected, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, so time is going by quick under our circumstances. So we're really excited to be able to share this, with the larger state, with our counterparts and partnerships in the neighbor islands, and with many families as well as we go through this process.
Yes, absolutely. And this webinar was shared statewide for any parents, families, stakeholders, and community members. And according to the information we do have people who actually tuned in or registered for it on the various islands. So we're very excited and looking forward to their feedback as well.
Great. And so I just took another look in the chat. I don't see any additional questions. If I did miss anything that wasn't answered, please feel free to add it now. Otherwise, we will be sending out an archive of this video along with the materials we talked about in the webinar, and we will also include all of the questions and answers that had been asked during this session. So for those that you may want to share this with, they'll have all of the information that we covered. And I don't see any additional questions, so I want to thank everybody very much for joining us, for participating. A special thank you for the Hawaii Statewide Family Engagement Center. You've been a pleasure to work with planning this, and your entire team has been amazing. Thank you for all your support.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Take care, everyone.
You're welcome. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you. You do the same.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Bye. Mahalo.